Welcome back. Of course, what happened to Tyre Nichols is crippling, has arrested the nation's attention, and perhaps calling for a redefinition of police reform in the country. And of course, here in Southeast Michigan, Danielle Ware is the CEO of Community Equity Organization and has been pushing for police reform in Southeast Michigan. And she's also, of course, from the city of Farmington Hills. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I know you've not watched the video. A lot of people are telling me that they cannot watch the video because it was so vicious, so brutal. But just your reaction to what happened to Tyre Nichols in Memphis and where you think that takes us now in this evolving question of police reform.
Well, first, my sincere condolences to the Nichols family. Like you said, I could not watch the video. I cannot do any more trauma that is perpetrated on black bodies, and then they want to run it over and over again in the media for clicks, likes, and constant viewing. I can't do it anymore. However, it doesn't change the acknowledgement that police reform is definitely needed. Police reform in a lot of cases seem to be focused, people think it's focused on just defunding the police from a manner of taking away their resources, but we talk about refunding the police in ways that hold them accountable. For example, there used to be a time that you had to take psychological tests to actually be hired to be on the police department. In a lot of cases, in a lot of cities and a lot of states, that's no longer a requirement. And further, they don't even constantly do psychological tests to have a check-in with a therapist or counselor to make sure that those police officers are healthy, that they are mentally healthy and mentally able to work the streets to separate who's the victim and who's the criminal. And if we don't have that, how will we as citizens be able to go about our everyday life without having anxiety and fear of interactions with police officers?
Yeah, and of course I want to also talk about your efforts in the city of Farmington Hills, but these were 5 black officers. I think we've been reminded that over and over again, and for a lot of people it is shocking that in fact this level of viciousness and brutality came from black police officers.
Absolutely.
Who we keep saying ought to know better.
Yes, and I don't know, I won't say they ought to know better. It's how can you look at your brother like that when you know what you deal with every day? How can you look at your brother and harm your brother in that way? It is hard. It's one of the main reasons why I can't look at it. I can't stand to see 5 black men savagely beat another black man. But I don't want people to forget that the first person to tase him was a white man. So, but that's really not the point. The point is policing is a society, a culture of its own. And in that culture of its own, they indoctrinate each and every police officer on how to view the community. And depending on what police force you're on, you view your community members differently. And I'll give you an example. In Farmington Hills, where the majority of the people are white, the policing in the community, for the most part, isn't aggressive. It's more, you know, your neighborhood police officer going down the street. Unless you happen to be black and you want to be included in that feeling. We don't have that. We're trying to get that. That's what we advocate for, and that's why we applied for the Hudson Weber grant with BCI, Beloved Community Initiative, and Fame Church, First African Methodist.
But the thing about it though is, you know, the issue that has come up also is this warrior mentality that police forces have towards black people.
Exactly.
You know, and they don't have that. They don't demonstrate a warrior mentality when they pull over white drivers.
They don't, or not even, not even a warrior mentality, but an authoritarian mentality. Yeah. And so you're overseeing me, you're questioning me as a police officer, as if I don't have the right to exist in this community, to be here. I'm paying my taxes just like the next person. I'm being a law-abiding citizen just like the next person. So if you pull me over for a minor traffic stop, I should be given the same courtesy and respect that you give your white
So,
friend.
so I feel like we've been here before. You know,
Yes.
I mean, Tyre Nichols, I've been saying, has become the George Floyd of 2023.
Yes, sir.
We keep saying, okay, when does it stop, right? And I think the other side to this, though, is, do you feel that, you know, and I ask the question, being skeptical about it too, because it's like, are these police departments getting the message? You know, so we see what happened in Memphis with the Memphis 5, the 5 black officers. You know, does the Detroit Police Department get the message? Does the Farmington Hills Police Department get the message? Does the Southfield Police Department get the message? You know, does these police departments around the country, do they get the message?
Well, I think what you have are two different police forces in the same building. You have the police force that is there to actually do the job of being community protectors and servers.
Right.
And then you have those that have their secret societies, you know, that are there to push racist narratives that continue to traumatize and harm the black community or other community, people of color. So you have to understand that you have those two. So you can have a both and situation in this case. You can have the Detroit police officers, the chief of Southfield Police, who actually cares about cleaning up the police department, but you also have a group of people, a faction, if you will, that work to keep the harm and the trauma going in our communities. And so the question is, will those that are trying their best to clean up the police department, who do get the message, will they stand and fight with us against those that are in the police department that seek to harm us?
And so this comes to my next question, and that is the role of advocacy here, advocating and pushing for change, which is, you know, the part of the business that you're in, and talk about how what this does for the movement for police reform, the space that you're in now.
What it should do for the movement, because there are two different things.
Well, yeah.
What it should do for the movement is have the police departments say, okay, take a look at themselves and say, okay, where are our gaps and where can we do better? Oh, here are groups like CEO, Community Equity Organization, that have reached out to us and are trying to have a dialogue as residents in the community to have better relationships. I should engage. But that doesn't happen. Instead, we get frozen out, you know, and that is actually the class 101 of how to deal with black advocates, is to first freeze them out until we get more visibility in the community, and then they may come to the table once or twice and talk to us.
Because they know they have no choice. Either way, you're going to be talking.
Yes, because either way
they
we're
can't
gonna be
isolate
talking.
you.
Exactly. Then they come, but they don't say anything. We can't get to, hey, here are what the problems are. Here is what we see. Let's talk about it, and then begin to develop a way forward. And we can't talk about it because they can't acknowledge the truth. In truth and reconciliation, the parties have to acknowledge the truth. And once you can do that, you can start the conversation.
But do you feel that sometimes they are reacting because, you know, what we see sometimes is like when activists go to the media, then the police want to talk.
Yes, then they react.
You know,
yes.
I mean, you're here talking to us on Sunday Nation. They see that, oh, we got to talk to her.
Yes.
Do you feel that that's genuine?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And so it makes the conversation difficult to start, right?
Yeah,
So let's say they only give you an hour after I've been on Face the Nation.
Right.
And now they say, oh, I got to go talk to
right,
her.
right.
Sunday Nation.
Right.
But, and any other show that is here giving us a platform to talk. Then they say, oh, I have to come and I have to talk to her now. But I'm not going to speak of anything in substance.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend that hour, you know, wasting time, for lack of a better terminology, wasting time. And so we don't get anywhere.
Yeah.
And then like in our case, we've met with the city of Farmington and Farmington Hills Police Departments, and we make plans to meet again. For example, we make schedules and say, okay, so that we can be respectful of all the other work that you have to do.
Right.
Here, can you prioritize us once a month
Right,
for
right.
an hour
Right.
so that we can sit down, because
Right.
we are residents
Right,
of
right.
the community. And in the meeting, they can say yes, but when we actually make the meeting notices, we get the declines with no explanation of why.
And then they want to talk when the Tyre Nichols happens in Farmington. Then they want to really talk now.
And then they'll tell you, but we're not them. But you
Yeah.
are a faction of them.
Yeah.
Because just because you didn't put your hands on me in this particular situation,
Yes.
you don't include me as the community member
Right.
that I am.
Right.
You freeze me out.
Right.
When I say invite me into the house, you don't.
Yeah.
You make relationships with other organizations and you
Yeah.
act like we don't exist.
A few seconds we got before we go. Do you think that what happened in Memphis sends a message to black police officers?
At the rate at which, how fast they got arrested?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it reminds them that they are black. And
Right.
so if you thought that you could do this
And get away with it.
get away with it
Or
in
have
a
the
manner,
white police union stand with you?
stand with you and take their slow time,
Right.
running interference and things, you're mistaken, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're still black.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, police reform advocate Danielle Ware. She's the CEO of the Community Equity Organization here in Southeast Michigan. We'll be right back with more on Sunday Nation. Stay with us.